3 bone-chilling prayers to call the Holy Spirit when you feel alone with God or if you are in a dimly lit room. Shadows twisted in every corner as an unsettling chill permeated the air. There was a whispered legend that when the night deepened, fearful souls sought out 3 bone-chilling prayers to summon the Holy Spirit when loneliness clawed at their hearts. Each prayer, they claimed, held the power to peel back the veil between realms, to connect the living with echoes of the divine and perhaps, just perhaps, to uncover the dark truths that lurked within their souls. People said they could feel the electric charge of the supernatural buzzing in the air as they recited these ancient words, their hearts racing with a mix of trepidation and hope. It was a gamble with fate, a dance with the unseen, a chance to fill that gnawing emptiness with something larger than themselves, but rumor had it that these prayers weren't for the faint-hearted. The first strange element had emerged as whispers of ominous happenings connected with their utterance. Some swore they had felt a cold breath on their necks, a chilling grip tightening around their chests as they spoke. Others recounted vivid dreams, dark figures lurking at the edges of their vision. Each tale thickened the air like fog, leaving a residue of fear as pervasive as the shadows. It was said that those who called upon the Holy Spirit in desperate moments could also wake something else, something sinister, waiting for its moment to strike. As the clock's hands swung toward midnight, an inexplicable tension coiled in the room, pulsing like a heartbeat. In every creak of the floorboards, in every rustle of the curtains, there was a feeling that something was just out of reach, a presence lurking alongside them. Would they be embraced by divine mercy, or would they invite forth a darker power, one that thrived on fear and loneliness? A lump formed in the throat as an unsettling realization dawned. Not everyone returned from the utterance of those chilling prayers. Some were consumed by doubt and dread, drawn into a vortex they could not escape. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. But one fateful night, a young woman named Clara, haunted by the weight of her isolation, clutched her rosary and took the plunge. Her voice trembled as she recited the first prayer, the words echoing like thundering pulses in the silence. Suddenly, she felt the room spin, a whirlwind of energy erupting around her, pulling at the very fabric of reality. And then, a whisper brushed against her ear, sending shivers coursing through her spine. "Are you ready to find what you seek?" It hissed, the voice blending with the night, leaving Clara breathless. But as fear gripped her chest tighter, she realized the question wasn't just about seeking solace, it was about daring to confront the shadows of her own heart. Would she be able to vanquish them, or would they consume her whole? The air grew heavy with anticipation, and Clara knew this was only the beginning of an impossible choice. Clara's breath came in ragged gasps as the air around her thickened, clinging to her skin like a damp shroud. The shake of her hands betrayed her fear, but she couldn't turn back now. Each heartbeat pounded like an ominous drum, a reminder that she had beckoned something that may not wish to return to the shadows. "Find what you seek," the whisper echoed again, wrapping around her like icy fingers. Clara closed her eyes, clenching her rosary tighter, desperate to feel its reassuring weight in her palm. Shadows swirled and danced as if alive, inviting her to surrender to the encroaching darkness. Her heart raced. Would she find peace or merely confront the abyss of her own making? "Who are you?" Her voice barely broke the silence, a fragile thread against the growing tempest. The reply emerged from the void, a low, menacing laugh, twisted and serpentine. "I am the keeper of truths, the harbinger of despair and light." The words crawled beneath her skin, igniting a fear that rooted her to the spot. She could feel the room closing in, walls compressing like the grip of a vice. Then came a chilling stillness. Just when Clara thought she might scream, the silence shattered. A flicker of light materialized in the corner, pulsing softly, invitingly. It flickered like a dying flame but remained defiantly bright amidst the encroaching gloom. Instinct drove her toward it, the pull irresistible. With each step, the whisper turned into a chorus of voices. They merged, rising like a tumultuous tide, casting seeds of doubt. You want connection, Clara? This is your connection. But know this: you might not like what you uncover. Her mind raced. The loneliness that had haunted her for months felt like tendrils wrapping around her heart, squeezing tighter with every word. The spectral voices carried the weight of forgotten sorrows, lost dreams, and haunting regrets. What do you want from me? She shouted, the pitch of her voice trembling under the pressure of their collective essence. Only the truth, they echoed, launching a shudder through her body. The light intensified, revealing the glimmers of painful memories that lay scattered like delicate shards of glass across the darkened floor. Suddenly, Clara was no longer alone in the room. Figures twisted in the shadows began to materialize, echoes of her past, faces she had long buried but could never forget. Friends lost, opportunities squandered, moments of betrayal, all encased in lingering energies that wrapped around her like a suffocating blanket. No! Panic surged through her. I don't want to see this. But the truth was relentless. As if sensing her despair, the ethereal laughter morphed into something more sinister. Dare you confront the very essence of your soul? What lies within may terrify you, but the liberation you seek demands it. Would you rather remain shackled in solitude? Heart racing, Clara plummeted into her own darkness. She felt the chilling energy shift, like the atmosphere bracing for a storm. The threads of her reality began to unravel, and the room spun once again, the light flickering crazily as if it too was afraid. An image loomed before her, a moment she had avoided, a truth she refused to acknowledge. The shadows whispered her name, thundering in unison. Face us, Clara. Only then can you find your peace. With every ounce of courage left within her, Clara steeled herself. What awaited her could either shatter her completely or set her free. The thrill of her decision coursed through her. But one haunting question remained: was she ready to confront the truth, even if it meant losing everything she once believed? As the ancient prayer hung in the air, she braced for what was to come next. The moment was here, and it pulsed on the edge of a knife. What awaited her beyond that veil? The atmosphere crackled with raw energy, as if the very walls were holding their breath. Clara felt each heartbeat reverberate in her chest, each thump a countdown to the unknown. She stepped closer to the flickering light, the shadows shifting ominously around her like restless spirits yearning for release. The vivid memory surged forth, forcing a flood of emotions to crash over her. There, in the cold grip of reality, she confronted a day that had haunted her dreams, a vibrant moment turned tragic. It was her best friend, Rachel. Their laughter had filled the air like music, painting joy against the backdrop of an ordinary day. But then came the argument, sharp words exchanged, cutting ties that had once bound them closely. The failure to reconcile echoed now, a death knell to their friendship. Why? Clara breathed, grappling with the sorrow rising in her throat. Why now? The air thickened, a palpable force, brushing painfully against her skin. The disembodied voices swirled, weaving together, each note humming with sadness. Face the darkness within, accept the burden of your choices, Clara. It was as if the room itself demanded remembrance and accountability. Fists clenched, and resolve thickened in her heart. She wanted to scream out her grief, to call out to Rachel, to apologize for the words that had distanced them. I'm sorry. The words tore from her throat, echoing in the emptiness. Moments stretched like shadows, and the brightness began to pulse faster, beating in time with her heart. Suddenly, everything shifted. A doorway appeared, carved from the very shadows that had tortured her, an entrance to something deeper. Instinct urged her forward, yet fear pulled back. Cross it or stay forever in regret, the voices whispered, serenading her with their cacophony of despair. Tears streamed down her cheeks, mixing pain with a flicker of hope. If she dared to step into the unknown, would she find closure? Would Rachel hear her, understand? Clara hesitated, memories flooding in the laughter and the fights, the love and the hatred, the bond shattered by a moment's carelessness. Every choice carved paths diverging into uncharted territory, leaving her feeling like she was forever trapped in the crossfire of what-ifs. Just take the step. The voices roared, reverberating with a mix of urgency and despair, vibrating in the air around her. Gritting her teeth, Clara felt her next breath fill her lungs with purpose. She lunged towards the doorway, crossing into the unknown. The world twisted, colors swirling and merging until they exploded around her like fireworks. She was no longer in her dim room, but engulfed in a vast, luminescent space, an ethereal landscape suspended between reality and memory. In the distance, a figure emerged, backlit by a soft, radiant glow. Clara's breath caught. Could it be Rachel? Her voice was raw, trembling with unspent emotion. Would this vision be a blessing or a torment? The figure turned. A long-lost smile flickered across her face, familiar and haunting all at once. You finally chose to see, Rachel said softly, but the words carried weight, echoing through the cosmic space. Clara's heart raced. 1,000 questions rushed to her mind, but panic swirled heavily. Had she made the right choice? Was this the closure she sought, or merely another layer of despair draping over her soul? Will you listen now? Rachel's voice rose and fell like a wave, soothing yet terrifying. Clara's head spun as the shadows began to pulse with a new urgency, weaving around her, tightening like a noose. She was teetering on the brink of another revelation, dangerously close to the edge once more. Just how deep did the truth run? And then the familiar darkness loomed, an unrelenting whisper tugging at her thoughts as it prepared to swallow her whole once again. Find your peace, Clara, but at what cost? Clara's pulse quickened, a rush of dread coursing through her veins as Rachel's figure shimmered, the glow around her flickering like a candle in a storm. What do you want from me? Clara asked, desperation lacing her voice. The air vibrated, heavy with unresolved tension, as the shadows encircled her tighter, restricting her movements. Understanding, Rachel replied, each word carefully measured. You've locked me away in your heart, but I never left. You pushed me out with your anger, with your fear. It's time to confront what you've buried. The shadows writhed, echoing the torment of Clara's mind. Images flooded her memories of their time together, laughter shared over icy sodas, sleepovers filled with whispers and secrets. Then, the argument. The breaking point when Clara had screamed words she could never take back, allowing resentment to shatter their bond. I didn't mean it, Clara gasped, the truth coursing through her like a bitter pill. I never wanted to lose you. I was scared of losing myself. Rachel's expression softened, but the surrounding darkness pressed against Clara, urging her to admit deeper truths. You need to let your fear go if you ever want to be free from it. I can't be your escape anymore. You have to face your choices. The shadows writhed in agreement, their whispers growing frantic. Choose, Clara. Choose truth over fear. They sang, their voices harmonizing in an eerie chiaroscuro that echoed deep within her soul. Clara's body trembled. But what if it's too late? She echoed back, her heart heavy with despair. It's never too late, Rachel replied, stepping closer, her glow illuminating the encroaching shadows. Forgive yourself. You've punished yourself long enough. In that moment, Clara realized the weight she carried was a double-edged sword. One end was guilt, the other, the strength to change. I'm so sorry, Rachel. For everything. I was weak. Tears streamed down her face, raw and unfiltered, as relief seeped into the cracks of her heart, but just as she began to feel the warmth of acceptance, a cold, sharp echo infiltrated her thoughts. Forgive yourself, yes, a new voice hissed, slicing through the atmosphere like ice. It was dark, twisted, filled with bitterness. But can you truly absolve yourself of the past? Clara froze, the pulsing shadows surrounding her morphing into a vortex of eerie energy. She had awakened something else, something malevolent. She turned toward Rachel, fear gripping her like a vice. "What's happening?" Rachel's smile faded, her glow dimming slightly. "You must stand strong, Clara. Not all who haunt the past wish for healing. Some only seek to drag you down with them." As the shadows thickened, Clara locked eyes with Rachel, a final plea for guidance. "How do I fight this?" "By acknowledging them," Rachel said, her voice steady but low. "But you can only do this if you fight for yourself first. Face what seeks to drown you. Take the power back." With every word, Clara felt the walls of her resolve bulge under the pressure. The swirling darkness felt alive, clawing at her thoughts, reminding her of every failure. But beneath it all, there was a grasp of hope that sparked her courage. She lunged forward, aiming not just for the glow of Rachel, but for the core of the darkness. "I will not be afraid anymore," she shouted, her voice ripping through the turmoil. A surge of raw emotion crashed over her, invigorating her spirit. Suddenly, the space shuddered as the shadows recoiled, a howl of frustration mingling with Clara's surge of determination. "You will not bind me. I own my past, but it does not own me." Clara's defiance sent shockwaves through the ethereal landscape, and the darkness hesitated, swirling around in disarray. But just as the momentary clarity emerged, the shadows hissed back, growing denser, lurking closer, fueled by the power of denial and rage. Something shattered within her. Would it be enough to tip the balance? The light from Rachel pulsed wildly, and Clara felt the tethering between them grow stronger, but another thought gnawed at her: what would happen if she failed to break free from the darkness now encroaching? And with a flip of cosmic dread, she knew she was only getting started. As the shadows gathered, she clenched her fists, ready to confront the hidden fear that had haunted her. "Face me then, if you dare." But something deep inside whispered that this confrontation was merely the beginning of a much darker journey. The shadows writhed violently, now a churning sea of darkness that felt almost alive. Clara's heart raced. The whispers grew louder, a cacophony of doubts and fears clawing at the edges of her consciousness. Every regret she had ever buried surged forward, filling her with an icy dread. "You know you can't escape," the dark voice hissed, wrapping around her like chains. "You'll always carry me with you. No matter how hard you fight, I will haunt your every moment." Rachel stepped closer, her glow flickering erratically. "You have to hold on to your truth, Clara. Remember who you are beneath their grasp. They want to trap you," she urged, her voice barely cutting through the growing chaos. "I can't let it win." Clara felt the pressure of the shadows squeeze tighter, threatening to smother her. Just as she felt she might suffocate under the weight of it all, she strained to remember the flicker of hope within her. "I want to let you take me," she screamed, channeling every ounce of strength she had left. In that moment of defiance, Clara felt the ground beneath her pulse with energy. The darkness hesitated, curling back momentarily as if surprised by her resilience. Her mind flashed to the joy she once shared with Rachel, the laughter, the secret promises made in the midnight hour. Could she really reclaim that? "Focus on the love, Clara," Rachel shouted, her form brightening. "Push everything else away." Clara closed her eyes, feeling the warmth of Rachel's glow wrap around her like a protective mantle. She inhaled deeply, letting memories of shared moments wash over her: joy, trust, laughter. The happiness they created together became a beacon, illuminating the encroaching shadows. Clara released the darkness, acknowledging it but refusing to let it define her, but deep inside, doubt curled like smoke. "Are you sure you're strong enough to face the truth?" The dark voice sneered, twisting through the air. "You were never good enough, no." Clara roared, startling even herself. "You're wrong. I am enough. I have fought for too long to let you control my heart." Her heart raced as waves of protective warmth erupted from her core, thrumming with radiant energy. Suddenly, the shadows shrieked a seething chorus of rage and frustration as Clara pushed back against it all. A fierce gust swirled around her, and she opened her eyes to see the darkness receding. But just as she thought she had turned the tide, a sinister chill curled around her spine. "But you'll never escape your shadow," the voice came from everywhere, reverberating. "You'll never free yourself from the shame." Clara felt a chill crawl beneath her skin. Just when she thought she had gained ground, something deeper and darker than she'd ever fathomed clawed its way back to the surface. "You think the past can't come back to haunt you? Think again." It laughed, a spine-chilling sound echoing in her ears. "Clara." Rachel's voice cut through again. "You must remember. Shadows only exist where light doesn't reach. Don't let them drown you in despair." "Light," Clara whispered, focusing on Rachel's radiance as her lifeline. She remembered that even the thickest of night would eventually give way to dawn. Empowered by that clarity, she gathered her energy, ready to break through. "You are nothing but a ghost of what was," she declared. The shadows roared, and a violent whirlpool of darkness surged toward her. Waves crashed against her resolve, threatening to pull her under. Clara took a deep breath and flung her hands outward, unleashing her surge of light. "I am here. I have power. And I choose to stand tall." A blinding flash erupted, the darkness cowered, and Clara's determination flooded the space. Yet even in that moment, as light pierced the gloom, the shadows whispered their final chilling words, "This isn't over." "I'll be waiting." As the last tendrils of darkness dissipated, a shocking realization struck her. If this battle was merely a precursor to darker truths lurking in her heart, what more awaited her beyond the veil? The air crackled with tension. Clara brushed the lingering shadows from her skin. But the echo of those haunting words lingered like poison. Could she truly defeat the darkness that dwelled within, before it consumed her entirely? Clara stood still, breathless as the remnants of shadows melted away, but the echoes of their threats played on a maddening loop in her mind. She felt the warmth of Rachel's light reassuring her, but inside, her heart felt like a cold stone. "What now?" she asked Rachel, her voice trembling. "What if it comes back? What if it knows my weaknesses?" Rachel took a step forward, her glow steadying. "You're stronger than you think. This is only the beginning of your journey. We need to face the truth of what lies ahead, together." Suddenly, the ground rippled beneath them. Clara gasped, her pulse racing again. The very earth seemed to pulse with malice, vibrating as if it were alive. She braced herself, feeling the hairs on her arms stand up. A low growl came from the depths, deep and primal, resonating through the darkness that had just left. "Do you hear that?" Clara whispered, wide-eyed. Rachel nodded, her expression solemn. "It's a warning. The shadows might have receded, but something else is stirring." Before she could finish, the earth split with a deafening crack. A fissure opened before them, and darkness spilled forth like smoke, swirling in a mist that coiled around their ankles. Clara stumbled back, heart racing. The earlier victory felt like a distant dream as dread clawed at her throat. "No," she gasped, clenching her fists. "We can't go through this again." "Stay with me," Rachel urged, stepping closer. Her light flickered dangerously, struggling against the emerging gloom. "We need to find the source of this darkness." Clara felt a strong wave of nausea wash over her. "But what if it's worse than before?" "Then we face it together," Rachel insisted. Her luminous aura flickered like a flame in the wind, though it surged brighter with determination. "You are not alone, Clara. Remember the love, the light, and your strength." As if summoned by Rachel's words, the darkness around them thickened. Clara could almost feel it breathing, an icy tendril wrapping around her ankle. She fought back a wave of panic, refusing to let the fear take hold. "Enough!" Clara shouted, raising her hands as she had done before. The last remnants of shadows flinched. "I won't let you take control. Not again." But the ground groaned, and a distorted voice slithered from the depths, mocking her defiance. "You speak bravely, but you know nothing. You are bound to your past. No. Clara felt a fire ignite within her. Memories flashed moments of joy with Rachel, times when she had felt safe and loved. They sculpted a fortress around her heart, one that the shadow could not penetrate. I'm shaping my own future. With every ounce of courage, she summoned her power, letting it pulse outward. Brilliant light radiated from her, illuminating the crack and momentarily staving off the darkness. The swirling mist recoiled, revealing chaos beneath a labyrinth of memories long forgotten, guilt and pain that still clung to her. Do you really think you can conquer what lies beneath? The voice taunted, stronger now. You cannot erase your past. Clara's heart raced as she faced the truth. No, she shouted back, voice firm. But I can accept it. I can be more. With a mighty roar, she flung her light deeper into the chasm. Those shadows trembled, and the voice faltered, briefly choking on its own malevolence. Clara felt the ground begin to quake violently beneath her. Clara! Rachel shouted, panic rising. It's too strong. You need to stop. But Clara was determined. If confronting her past was the only way to move forward, then she would charge into that darkness. She took a deep breath, stepping forward, ready to embrace whatever buried secrets lay in wait. As she descended into the crack, she felt a pull and electric energy vibrating around her. The shadows welcomed her with whispers, each more chilling than the last. What awaits you in the depths? The voice crooned, promising revelations and horrors. Clara felt a shiver run down her spine. The truth loomed before her, heavier than she could have imagined. She had fought valiantly, but would she have the bravery to face the ultimate test? Suddenly, everything went dark. What secrets lay hidden in that abyss? Would Clara find the answers she needed, or would the truth consume her whole? Clara opened her eyes to a suffocating darkness, the air thick and stagnant around her. She squinted, trying to make sense of her surroundings, but all she could see was inky blackness. The shadows whispered like a haunting lullaby, wrapping around her, tugging at her will to fight. Panic clawed at her throat. Where was Rachel? Was she trapped here alone? She felt an icy breath against her cheek, and a knot of dread twisted in her stomach. Rachel! Clara called out, her voice trembling in the silence. No answer. Just the slow, rhythmic pulse of the darkness. It felt sentient, alive, as if it fed off her fear. Taking a steadying breath, Clara remembered Rachel's words. Strength. Light. Together. I want to let you win. She shouted defiantly into the void. The darkness stirred, thickening around her. Just then, a flicker broke through the suffocating gloom, a semblance of light just at the edge of her vision. Clara focused on it, her heart pounding. She took a cautious step toward the glow, hardly daring to hope. As she drew closer, she realized the light was coming from an ancient, gnarled tree emerging from the shadows, its bark twisted and hollow, toes tangled in dark roots. Clara. The voice was faint, almost a whisper. It was Rachel. I'm here. Clara rushed forward, her hands grasping at the air, desperate for connection. Where are you? Below, in the roots. Rachel's voice trembled. You need to go deeper. There are truths hidden in the darkness, truths that can free you. Clara hesitated. Beneath the roots? The very thought sent shivers down her spine. With every instinct urging her to flee, she dared to tread forward. She knelt beside the ancient tree, her fingers brushing against the cool, twisted wood. Suddenly, the roots shifted, revealing a narrow tunnel that burrowed into the darkness, a suffocating passage that seemed to breathe. The whispers grew louder, a cacophony of accusations and fears that churned in her mind, the failures, the lost moments, the shadowy demons of her past. Clara. Rachel's voice broke through again, more urgent. You must go. It's the only way. With a surge of determination, Clara climbed into the tunnel. It was cramped and twisted, the walls pulsing like a heartbeat. Each inch forward felt like wading through quicksand, suffocating her resolve, urging her to retreat. But she pressed on, the whispers growing more chaotic and furious. They spoke of her regrets, her fears. Each voice was a shadow from her history, things she wished she could forget. You'll fail again. You can't outrun the truth. No. Clara screamed, throwing her arms overhead. I'm done running. Each shout dispelled some of the anguish, illuminating her path slightly. She could see the end of faint light beckoning her. As she crawled closer, she felt tremors quake through the tunnel. It was as if the shadows sensed her resolve, becoming more desperate to hold her back. The whispers transformed into howls, echoing in rage, "You don't belong here. You will never escape." Clara steeled herself, pushing through the pain and the dark voices. With every ounce of strength, she erupted out of the tunnel into a dazzling light. The sudden brightness was blinding, overwhelming. As she tumbled onto the soft ground, gasping, she blinked against the brilliance. When her vision finally cleared, she gasped at what surrounded her. An ethereal garden shone with an otherworldly glow. It was beautiful beyond anything she could have imagined, alive with vibrant colors and the fragrant whisper of blooming flowers. In the center, a pool glimmered like liquid crystal, reflecting memories, each a fragment of her past, entwined with both joy and sorrow. They danced in the light, beckoning. "Clara, take a step forward." Rachel's voice resonated throughout the garden, warm and inviting. "This is where you confront your past." As Clara approached the pool, whispers from the shadows lingered behind her, still echoing doubt into her heart. But she couldn't turn back. The reflections shimmered with hope, urging her to claim what was rightfully hers. What would surface? If she dared to look? Would the memories reveal healing or devastation? With shaking hands, she leaned closer, heart racing as she peered into the depths. And then, the water began to swirl, rippling with dark undertones. Was she prepared for the truth it held? Would reality shatter her resolve, or would she find the strength to seize her identity amidst the chaos? The water churned and twisted like a storm, shadows coiling around the edges of the pool. Clara's heart thundered in her chest, a relentless beat that matched the swirling abyss before her. She felt that gravity of fear pulling her back, yet the flickers of hope danced in the pool, remnants of joy that whispered for her to come closer. "Clara." Rachel's voice broke through the chaos. "You have to face this. You can do it." Clara steadied herself, summoning the courage that had been buried beneath layers of despair. The reflection turned from mere memories into visions, a tapestry of her past. She gasped as images floated to the surface, her childhood, filled with laughter, the scornful tones of high school friends, moments of triumph overshadowed by failures she longed to forget. Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through her chest as a vivid memory jolted her, a confrontation with her long-lost father. The biting words they exchanged echoed in her mind, each syllable like a dagger. "You'll never be enough," rang louder than the rest, seeping into her bones. "No, stop," Clara cried, clutching her head as if that could push the memories away. "I can't look," Rachel urged, her voice strong. "You have to see the truth behind those words. They don't define you." With a shuddering breath, Clara leaned closer, locking her focus on the swirling water. The depths began to clear, revealing not just moments of pain but roots of resilience. A flicker of kindness from a teacher. The warm embrace of friends during tough times. Each memory fought to break free of the chaos, illuminating the cracks in her heart where light had begun to seep through. "See it, Clara," Rachel encouraged. "You are stronger than your doubts. You are not alone here." Taking another deep breath, Clara let the memories wash over her, embracing both joy and sorrow. Suddenly, she was swept into the depths of the pool, submerged in a cascade of memories. Each moment felt like a stone, heavy yet enlightening. The weight began to shift as she grasped those memories, pulling them into her essence. Clara, trust. Rachel's voice echoed deeper now, resonating like a chant. The water swirled and twisted around her, pulling her deeper. A thunderous sound erupted, like a storm, stirring the shadows once more. She could feel the tendrils of darkness stretching, desperate to reclaim her. You can't escape. You'll always be lost. They howled, but Clara fought back, pushing against the tide of despair. I am not what you say. I'm not defined by my past. Light erupted from within her, like the sun breaking through a stormy sky. The garden seemed to breathe, vibrant flowers blooming even more brilliantly as she released the weight of the memories and embraced the strength they offered. The shadows writhed, shrieking in fury, but the light sparked a fire within her. With one last push, she surged from the depths of the pool, breaking free into the light. But as she emerged, gasping, she noticed something strange. An ominous figure stood at the edge of the garden, shrouded in swirling mist. Clara, the voice was chilling, familiar and foreign all at once. Did you really think you could escape the truth? The shadows still know where you are. Her heart seized in fear, and the fragile light began to dim, the whispers shifting into chilling laughter, an echo that made her blood run cold. What do you want from me? Clara shouted, shaking but unable to back down. As the figure stepped closer, the mist parted to reveal a face she recognized, someone she hadn't seen in years but had always feared. Let us find out what happens when the past meets the present. Just as the chilling grin spread across the figure's face, Clara's world tilted. The ground beneath her trembled, and she braced herself, caught between her worst fears and the flickering hope of freedom. But could she face this new confrontation, or would the shadows consume her once and for all? A new question loomed, a choice that could define her forever. Would she stand against the darkness, or would she once again find her heart cloaked in shadows? Clara's breath hitched as she recognized the figure stepping into the light. It was Marcus, her father's brother, his once kind eyes now glassy and vacant, consumed by sorrow. He had always been a refuge when her father's words cut too deep. But now, with the shadows swirling, he looked like a revenant, a ghost haunting her with memories she longed to escape. Marcus? She stammered, fear mingling with disbelief. What are you doing here? His form flickered in the mist, the laugh now a low, gravelly sound. You think you can just wash away the past? The shadows grow stronger as you try to forget. Clara felt the heat of anger rise within her. Get away from me. You don't understand, I've fought too hard to get here. Delighting in her frustration, Marcus stepped closer, his presence suffocating. Oh, but I do understand, Clara. You've spent your whole life running from shadows. They'll always find you. With panic clawing at her throat, Clara's mind raced. She remembered the strength she had felt in the waters just moments ago, and she clung to that. No. You don't control my narrative anymore. I'm not that scared child anymore. The flickering light around her pulsed in response. She could feel warmth growing within, wrapping around her heart, igniting her spirit like a match in the darkness. Yet, with every heartbeat, Marcus seemed to grow stronger, feeding off her doubt. Is that so? He mocked, the smirk returning, twisting a knife in her resolve. Then let us see you stand up to your truth. The ground shook violently beneath her feet. The mist swirled, enveloping her in shadows while images flashed around her. The confrontation with her father resurfaced. The frustration, the hurt, and finally the nagging regret. All of it spiraled into a cacophony of anger and tears, crashing in waves like thunderous applause for the darkness. Fight it, Clara. Rachel screamed from somewhere in the distance, but her voice was muffled by the storms of pain. I want to be defined by you. The words burst forth on a tide of resolve, and Clara felt the heat within ignite. She clenched her fists tightly, feeling the warmth of memories that kept her alive, the kindness, the laughter, the moments of victory. Marcus waved a hand dismissively. You think that's enough? Those memories are fleeting, just like your courage. Clara shook her head, feeling the energy begging to break free. They're not fleeting. They're real, unlike your shadows. In that moment, the swirling chaos began to shift as she focused on the light, calling on each warm moment to push against the turbulent shadows. The mist wavered, revealing the garden again, vibrant colors piercing through the gloom, nourishing her growing strength, but Marcus advanced, the shadows clinging to him like a second skin. You can't escape the truth, Clara. You aren't worthy of the light. Suddenly, the laughter stopped, and a charged silence enveloped them. Clara's voice trembled with power as she shouted back, I am worthy. I am enough. Something shifted in the air, a gust of wind rippling past her, shaking the shadows and echoing in the depths of her core. The swirling mist started to unravel, revealing the sunlight breaking through like a beacon of hope, but Marcus's eyes burned with intensity, a fiery desire to crush her. You think this ends here? The shadows are relentless. They won't let go. As the figure lunged toward her, Clara felt the ground shake again, and she braced for impact. She had to make a choice: would she stand firm in her newfound light, or would she cower beneath the weight of her past? The answer teetered on the edge of her lips, but before she could articulate it, the world around her exploded with blinding light. Clara found herself suspended in a void, racing thoughts swirling as she wondered if the shadows would claim her again. Would she finally break free, or was this just the beginning of an endless nightmare? And as silence enveloped the chaos, one pressing question lingered: when the light fades, who will she become? Clara hovered in that void, heart racing, lost between realms. Strands of memories danced like fireflies around her: fragments of laughter, tears, long-lost hugs. Each pulse anchored her in the swirl of chaos, whispering the truth she yearned to embrace. In that moment, she realized the choice lay not just in the battle against the darkness, but in the acceptance of who she was, shadows and all. Enough! She roared, voice echoing against the void. It surged powerfully like a wave crashing against the shore. I'm not afraid to face my truth. A blinding light erupted from within, bathing the darkness in warmth. It enveloped her like an embrace, twisting and weaving as it pushed back against the shadows lurking nearby. She could feel Marcus try to reach for her, clawing at her resolve. Don't kid yourself, Clara. You'll forever be that scared little girl. He taunted, his presence looming like a storm cloud. But Clara felt the light blossom deep in her chest, a relentless fire ignited by every act of kindness she had received, every cherished moment, and every heart that had believed in her. No! She screamed, eyes alight with defiance. I choose to grow. You don't own me anymore. As she spoke, the tendrils of light surged from her, wrapping around the dark figure with alarming intensity. Marcus recoiled, eyes wide with rage. The shadows writhed, seething in denial, while Clara felt the horizon of her soul expand, enveloping every bit of hurt and fear she had carried for too long. The light pulsated with every heartbeat, resonating deeply, and Clara felt the love of those she had lost surging around it. Rachel's voice broke through the tumult, clear and resolute. You have the strength within you. Embrace it. The swirling shadows trembled, reflecting the chaos of Clara's surge, each pulse of light causing fissures in their grip. Memories poured in, moments of joy when she felt truly seen, voices lifted in love, supporting her through every painful encounter. They fueled her fire, flickering all around, and she grasped them tightly. Even in that storm of conflict, the garden's beauty began to seep back into view through the cracks of the shadows. Flowers bloomed with passion, vibrant and alive. In that place, grief wove into the fabric of peace, rich and layered like a tapestry, adding depth to the light she discovered inside herself. I choose to forgive you, Clara said, her voice firm. But I also choose to forgive myself. I am not defined by what has happened to me. As her words cascaded through the void, bright streams of energy spiraled around her. The mist that once felt suffocating began to disperse. The shadows, disturbed and furious, shrieked and twisted, but Clara remained unwavering. This ends now. she shouted, sending her light cascading outward in furious waves that cascaded like a waterfall of stars. The darkness cracked under the pressure, revealing the distortion of falsehoods, lies, and whispers of defeat. With one final surge of energy, she broke through the last barrier, piercing the oppressive gloom. The light engulfed her completely, and she felt herself sinking into a warm embrace, connecting with the essence of her being. In that moment, as everything around her faded into brilliance, Clara soared into liberation. Images swirled together, melding past sorrows with bold intentions for what lay ahead. She stood on the precipice of her new truth, radiant and filled with grace, ready to move forward. As the light settled, Clara breathed deeply, feeling anchored in the knowledge she had reclaimed. She was not alone. Rachel's essence surrounded her, guiding her back to the garden, where the shadows shrank far into the corners of her mind. The splendor of the garden blossomed in ways she could not describe. Her heart felt full, despite the journey still ahead, filled with fresh growth and whispered promises. Clara knew she would still face fears and echoes of her past, but they were no longer chains to bind her. They were reminders of her resilience. With resolute faith in who she had become, she turned toward the future. Each step weighted with strength and newfound determination. The path ahead glimmered with possibility. This was where her healing began. The shadows quieted, merging back into the depths from which they had spawned, leaving Clara standing tall among the blooms of perseverance. "You did it," Rachel whispered, visible again, her smile radiant and proud. "You embraced your truth." Clara nodded, feeling the weight of possibility lift. "And I won. Stop. I'll keep fighting." They stood together in the garden, sunlight bathing them, a fitting end to a dark chapter and the beginning of a hopeful journey. Thank you for being part of this journey. Your presence matters, and the magic of our shared experience is what makes this community thrive. You need to subscribe now. Don't miss the next heart-stopping tale that will be unveiled. Smash that like button to boost the algorithm and show your support for our stories. Flood the comments section with your thoughts, reactions, and theories. What do you think Clara will conquer next? And remember to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second. Let us make this community grow together.